Live now to Victor Gao. He's chair professor at Soochow University. Victor, thanks so much for joining us here today on RT International. Always a pleasure to see you. Victor, we now have a reaction from China, which has expressed sympathy for Donald Trump after the assassination. But, sir, what are your thoughts on the outpouring of condolences to Trump? Are they just general condolences, or do people really like him?
Thank you very much for having me. First of all, I, together with many people here in China, are completely shocked and appalled by this attempted assassination on the life of former President and Republican candidate Donald Trump. Fortunately, he survived the attempted assassination, and to the happy surprise of most of us throughout the world, I would say, Donald Trump really demonstrated beyond any doubt that he is a man of great strength and great courage, and he overcame the adversities and he emerged as the ultimate winner. And I would say personally, this also significantly increased the likelihood of his winning the presidential election. It is very pleasant that the Chinese president expressed a personal concern for this attempted assassination on his life and wished speedy recovery. And I think this is a good gesture on the part of the Chinese president. And it also demonstrated that China-US relations can get along well if both of us have wisdom and courage and foresight. Eventually, China and the United States need to get along. And I hope if President Donald Trump really is re-elected, he will steer China-US relations in a better course rather than towards more conflict and confrontation in the years to come.
Yeah, indeed. Trump is known for being a businessman. At the end of the day, he doesn't want conflict. He wants business done. But you know what's interesting, Victor, is when incidents like this sort of happen in other parts of the world, whether it be Africa or Asia, Washington is quick to condemn or is quick to impose sanctions, call those countries undemocratic. So why, when it happens to the US, we don't see that same kind of reaction?
I would say the U.S. domestic politics is highly polarized right now, and the internecine struggle between the Republicans and the Democrats, especially during this presidential election, is open secret for everyone to see. And I think the timing of this attempted assassination is very suspicious and makes it absolutely a political assassination, because this is the time when President Joe Biden is really under a lot of pressure to bow out. He's resisting that. And then on the part of Donald Trump, he is increasingly, seemingly invisible. And with this attempted assassination on his life and his surviving this attempted assassination, I think his invisibility has been significantly increased. So someone or some political force want to take out President Donald Trump to prevent him from winning this election. And I hope the U.S. Justice system will really go to the bottom of this to see who is really being involved. And this is not a simple assassination. This assassination was designed to blow off the head of Donald Trump, blow his head into pieces. And this is a very vicious political assassination. And it indicated the viciousness of the political polarization in the United States. And whether Trump wins or Biden wins or another Democratic candidate wins the election, I don't think that the political infighting in Washington and in the American political life will end anytime soon. It is time for the United States to really wake up to the realities. Its worst enemy is not abroad. Its worst enemy is inside the United States. And the United States really need to overcome all the adversities inside the United States to really become a normal country, rather than allow, for example, gun ownership to create one violence after another, including this time, political assassination.
Yeah, Victor, they're not going to give up their guns, that's for sure. I think many people have tried. But, you know, what's sort of interesting, you talked a little bit about timing there, Victor. You said the timing's interesting, and we know that Trump was visited by Viktor Orban recently. Of course, that was after he went to Kyiv, he came to Moscow, he was in Beijing, he spoke with Xi. But all of this timing, it's kind of seems that, Trump was, because he may want to end, I mean, he's always talked about, I want to end the conflict. I'll end the conflict in 24 hours. Perhaps, the world's, the powers to be don't want that to happen. And perhaps, could that be a reason why Trump was attempted for the assassination?
First of all, for Prime Minister Orban of Hungary, I think among all the European politicians, Prime Minister Orban seems to be the only person really standing out, calling for peace, calling for ceasefire, calling for wrapping up the war in Ukraine. And the fact that, he made this diplomatic shuttle to Kyiv, meeting with Zelensky, to Moscow, meeting with President Putin, China visiting, meeting with his old friend, President Xi Jinping, and attending the NATO summit, but being neglected. But then he went down to Mar-a-Lago, meeting with the former President Trump. I think it really demonstrated wisdom, courage, and the audacity of Prime Minister Orban. I hope he will eventually win a big prize for peace. And those European leaders who ignore and neglect and write off Prime Minister Orban will do so to their own detriment, because
Victor,
Europe does not need war.
Sorry to interrupt you. Victor, I apologize. I'm so sorry. Thank you for joining us. We've run out of time. Victor Gao, Chair Professor at Suzhou University. Always a pleasure, sir. Thank you so much. Sorry again.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.